Hello, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. Wishing you an enjoyable listening experience. Today, I'm introducing Eyewitness Testimony. This is a classic work studying human memory, initially penned in the 1970s in the United States. It has seen multiple reprints and remains significantly influential to this day. Back when this book was first published, the American judicial system didn't have the advanced technology we rely on today, like DNA identification or instant access to surveillance footage. Witness testimony held significant weight in court proceedings. Imagine a witness in court, pointing at the defendant, passionately stating, "It was him. I saw it with my own eyes," or, "It was terrifying, I'll never forget that face." Without further evidence, cases often concluded at this point, leaving the defendant sitting there, helpless and anxious, awaiting judgment. However, throughout that era, people habitually overlooked a critical question: is eyewitness testimony entirely reliable? You might think gathering testimony from multiple witnesses for corroboration could enhance the accuracy of judgments. Or perhaps assessing the demeanor of witnesses, confident speakers seem credible, while hesitant or vague individuals might be fabricating facts. Yet, eyewitness testimony reveals these methods have limited efficacy. Even the accounts of lucid, rational witnesses cannot be entirely trusted. It's not about the witness's motives or moral standards, it's about the workings of our human memory. What we believe we know and wholeheartedly trust might not always be factual. The author reminds us that human memory isn't an exact reproduction of reality, it's a reconstruction. In today's world, significant changes have occurred in psychology, law, and forensic technology. Despite the passage of years, lawyers, psychologists, and students worldwide still refer to this book. It laid the groundwork for studying human memory and significantly influenced subsequent research. It sheds light on why memory tends to be unreliable and what factors influence or even alter our memories. Subsequent studies on memory have yet to transcend this framework. A special mention goes to the author of this book, Elizabeth F. Loftus. A renowned expert in cognitive psychology, Loftus was recognized as one of the top 100 psychologists of the 20th century by the Review of General Psychology. She served as an expert witness or consultant in hundreds of legal cases, directly experiencing various judicial processes. Her systematic study of memory also impacted the U.S. judicial system, influencing requirements for convictions beyond eyewitness identification and mandating the presence of attorneys during pretrial identifications and testimonies. Let's dive into the entire process of memory formation and discuss why our memories are so fragile and which factors reshape them. To comprehend the fragility of memory, we first need to delve into the process of memory formation. In psychology, there's a consensus that when we experience significant events, our brain doesn't record them like a video camera, preserving everything intact. The reality of memory is intricate, typically involving 3 stages. 1. Acquisition of information. This encompasses our initial perception of events, what we see and hear. 2. Retention of information, the period from perception to recalling specific details. 3. Retrieval of information. This involves recollecting stored information. After passing through these stages, achieving a perfect reconstruction of reality through memory is essentially impossible. Each phase presents challenges, complexities, and inevitable distortions. Let's begin with the perception phase of memory. A witness's psychological state can induce cognitive biases. For instance, mental stress often narrows focus, causing individuals to concentrate solely on specific event features while neglecting others. This phenomenon, termed weapon focus, is prevalent in violent incidents. Witnesses often unconsciously fixate on the weapon wielded by an assailant, ignoring details about the surroundings or the perpetrator's appearance. Witness expectations also contribute to cognitive biases. In a 1950s case, hunters mistook a fellow hunter for a deer due to their preconceived expectation of encountering game. The tragic outcome resulted from these erroneous expectations. Cultural biases, categorized as a prevalent cognitive bias, influence perception and memory. Studies reveal that individuals often perceive and recall things based on common expectations. People tend to misinterpret details in images according to their cultural norms or expectations. The perception phase's interference doesn't solely stem from the witness's psychological state, the events themselves can disrupt the accuracy of eyewitness testimony. Unique, vivid, or novel scenes tend to grab attention more than mundane ones, leading to a bias in memory recall. Another critical factor affecting perception is the level of violence in an event. Psychologists conducted experiments using videos, one violent, the other non-violent, with similar beginnings and endings. Individuals who watched the violent version had significantly weakened memory recall abilities. This underlines the crucial importance of carefully considering testimonies related to emotionally charged events in legal judgments. Thus far, we've seen how memory acquisition can be distorted by numerous factors. But even if a remarkable witness managed to avoid these pitfalls during perception, the retention phase, the second stage, presents various factors attempting to intrude upon or alter their memory. Let's explore the challenges our memory encounters during the retention phase. The first challenge, as the author summarizes, is termed post-event information. After witnessing a significant event, our focus on the incident doesn't cease. Over time, we continually encounter new information related to the event. For example, someone witnessing a car accident may later learn from the news that the driver had been drinking. Or, after witnessing a dispute, they might hear from friends about the dispute's causes and consequences. Numerous studies have found that this post-event information can directly alter a witness's memory. The author conducted an intriguing experiment in a cognitive psychology class, tasking students to implant a non-existent memory in someone else's mind. Surprisingly, this act of fabricating a memory proved to be quite effortless. One group of students staged an incident at a train station, deliberately leaving a bag on a bench. They acted out a theft scenario without actually taking anything. Later, when these witnesses were probed about the incident, more than half vividly recalled seeing a non-existent stolen item, a high-quality tape recorder, complete with detailed descriptions. Even gestures, tone, and posture during information transmission can influence memory. For instance, during suspect identification, subtle cues like a police officer's gaze or altered tone significantly impact eyewitnesses' perceptions. Manipulating memories isn't restricted to verbal or written communication. Nonverbal cues play a substantial role too. An experiment asked participants about a car accident, altering the wording of questions to describe the collision as either a smash or a hit. Subsequently, they were asked about seeing broken glass at the scene, despite the absence of any in the video. Those who heard smash were more likely to falsely recall seeing broken glass due to the expectation of shattered glass associated with a forceful collision. The study concludes that during complex events, our memory combines original perception with external information. Over time, these merge in our brains, making it challenging to discern the source of our memories. Our brains prefer a cohesive memory narrative. In the experiment, fragmented information from the video was integrated with externally provided details, amplifying the severity of the accident in participants' recollections. These findings hold crucial implications for legal proceedings, police interrogations, and accident investigations. Interrogators should make every effort to avoid implanting external information into eyewitnesses' memories. Post-event information stands as the first challenge encountered during the retention phase, best understood as an external challenge to memory. The second challenge memory faces during the retention phase originates within ourselves, known as witnesses' interventionist thoughts. Specifically, it refers to a witness's inner thoughts, wishes, and desires influencing memory, unconsciously and uncontrollably. Consider this case: a salesman driving at 35 miles per hour, approximately 56 kilometers per hour, unfortunately hits a 4-year-old girl. The girl sustains fractures in her arm and skull, later developing epilepsy. The girl's mother, a witness to the entire incident, calmly provides her account to the authorities. She mentions the driver was a bit fast, unsure of the exact speed, emphasizing that, given the circumstances, the driver might not have had much choice. A year later, the mother testifies again, but her memory of the incident has drastically changed. She describes the car as speeding towards them, shouting a warning to her daughter, but then her memory fades. The question arises: why did she initially remember the driver as a bit fast and a year later recall the car as speeding? Setting aside deliberate falsehoods, witnesses' thoughts often tend to lean towards interpretations that favor themselves. Personal wishes and desires might inadvertently influence recollection. In this case, the witness's memory altered to support her lawsuit against the driver, remembering the driver's alleged speeding, which would imply fault and potentially sway a jury. Collectively termed the retention interval, the period from the incident to the witness's recollection is not merely a passive storage of fragmented information waiting to be recalled. Instead, it's subject to various influences, encompassing external post-event information and internal, unavoidable subjective thoughts and desires. That concludes the second part, memory during the retention phase. Let's continue with the assumption we made earlier. Our credible witness not only navigates through the perils of the perception stage but also performs reasonably well during retention. Assuming there's no interference from post-event information, let's overlook personal thoughts for now. Now, as they're being summoned to recall and testify, can they faithfully reproduce the facts? Unfortunately, the outcome is still likely to be disappointing. Next, there's another hurdle, which is the third stage we'll discuss, extracting information from memory. Simply put, the environment during memory retrieval, the method of extraction, the phrasing of questions, and who asks the questions all pose disturbances to the original memory. Firstly, consider the environment during memory retrieval. A completely new environment often inhibits our recollections. Researchers long ago suggested that for successful suspect identification, it's better to take witnesses back to the crime scene rather than call them to court. However, this scenario is challenging to achieve. Yet, this research remains valuable, explaining why witness identification at police stations tends to be less successful. Now, let's explore the method of memory retrieval. For instance, during police interrogation, there are two common methods, one where witnesses narrate events without interruption, termed narrative, and the other with a question-and-answer format where the police ask, and the witness responds, known as interrogative. Studies reveal that while each has its strengths, both methods have inevitable shortcomings. The narrative method minimizes errors but often lacks necessary details, while the interrogative method yields more comprehensive information but introduces more errors. Striking a balance is crucial during investigations, necessitating both completeness and accuracy. The consensus psychologists have reached is to allow free narration first and then pose specific questions, maximizing the completeness and accuracy of eyewitness testimony. Apart from the environment and method, the phrasing during questioning and the authority conducting the interrogation also affect memory. Compared to trivial bystanders asking a few questions, formal questioning by authoritative figures alters the witness's recall significantly. Highly credible authority figures have an easier time influencing others, changing their attitudes. This has been confirmed in numerous psychological studies. You see, even after successfully navigating through the perception and retention stages, during memory extraction, there are still numerous factors affecting our fragile memory. The author reflects in the book, saying, most people, including witnesses, wish to give accurate accounts, observe keenly, and avoid making fools of themselves. They want to contribute, often at the risk of making mistakes. People hope for crime resolution, justice served, which may drive them to voluntarily provide more information. Yet, their faint memories cannot guarantee this. The boundary between effective retrieval and unconscious fabrication is easily crossed. Due to time constraints, this book, Eyewitness Testimony, concludes here. The process of memory fundamentally involves perceiving, storing, and retrieving information. However, achieving a complete restoration of actual events is nearly impossible. Each step, perception, storage, or retrieval, faces numerous complexities and unavoidable challenges. Besides the previously mentioned factors, individual differences such as age, gender, cognitive abilities also impact our memory. Due to limited space, we won't delve into these commonly referenced elements. You might wonder, given the unreliability of our memory, are there any good solutions to make it more dependable? The author, within the book, doesn't offer a definitive solution to combat false memories. Perhaps for a considerable time, this will remain a challenging issue. However, the book highlights that by dissecting the memory process, analyzing and studying the factors that interfere with our memory, significant and positive effects have been observed in the judicial process. Under the research initiatives led by scholars like the author, new regulations have been implemented in American courts. For instance, convictions based solely on eyewitness identification are prohibited without corroborating evidence. Any pre-trial witness identifications must have a lawyer present, and even with legal representation, suggestive identification procedures are prohibited. The evidentiary value of testimony must outweigh its adverse effects, significantly reducing the likelihood of wrongful convictions. For us ordinary folks, through numerous real cases presented in this book, we've gained a profound understanding of how fragile memory can be. Therefore, in our thinking and decision-making, perhaps a reminder is due: memory is cunning. Adding a dose of rational caution, avoiding memory dominance in decision-making, and incorporating objective evidence might help circumvent the common pitfalls triggered by blind trust and intuition. That's all for the content introduction. Congratulations on completing yet another book. Thank you for your support and attention. Subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with your friends. Let's combine wisdom and practice to achieve our financial goals, creating a brighter future together. Thank you all, and goodbye.